Okay. Whoops.
This was our favorite last.
Oh, was it? Okay. So, okay, everybody listen real quick. Shh. For your writing, test number 1, if you open your book to page 29, you'll see this, and it's got like different test numbers. You just have to do, yeah, it's for, all that means is it's for a test grade. So you want to write in your, anytime you do a writing paper, you want to do it in your neatest writing you can, right? So here's what you do. Listen, don't talk. Hey, I'm the only one talking. Hey, when I talk, I'm the only one talking. Okay, you guys need to close your mouths and listen with your ears. Okay, now listen. You're going to write this one time as neat as you can on regular notebook paper, and it has to be turned in by tomorrow. Okay, it is for a penmanship test grade. You do get a grade for penmanship, so do it in your best, neatest writing. If you want to turn it in today and you get it done, that's fine, but if not, turn it in tomorrow. But I just wanted to mention that in case I run out of time. Okay, Cameron, stop. Put your book down. Now, put it down. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So penmanship 1, that's what it means by writing. But the tests are hidden, well, not hidden, but they're inside your book, okay? So page 29. So, all right. Let's go ahead and get grammar out now. I just wanted to mention that for you. Looks like Gianni's on. Gianni, I hope you heard that. For today's writing assignment, you're doing page 29, penmanship test number 1, and just write it on a separate sheet of paper, okay? In your best handwriting. Again, we're not doing it now because we're doing grammar now. Okay. The only reason I said it is because I know I'm going to spend a lot of time in language and spelling today. I might not get back to writing. So if I didn't say it now, I'd forget. So, all right. Now let's move on to grammar. Today. And we left off. We finished page 7, and I think we finished. We're on page 8 right now. So everybody get on page 8 of your grammar books. You're in your writing book. Grammar book. So everybody get your language book, open it to page 8, okay? Yes, page 8. All right. For grammar, page 8. Shh, no talking while I'm talking, please, still. Okay. All right. Look at the blue boxes on page 8 and kind of read, just follow along with me as I read it to you, okay? But we're on page 8. It says locating out of the ordinary subjects and verbs. That's what we've been doing so far. Let's have a quick little review. When I'm finding subjects and verbs, which one do I find first? Just say it if you know. Verb. Verb first, then subject. Now, it doesn't really matter if you do it the other way, but it's easier so you don't make a mistake on the subject if you find the verb first, then the subject. Now, we learned that there were action verbs, which are fairly easy to spot, right? But there's also that list back on page 6, right? On page 6, we had all those am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, and all that, right? So you guys should be reviewing that over and over in your mind so you'll be easily spot those, right? It should be a given if I say underline the verbs. Those should be a given because they're right there listed in the book, okay? And those particular words aren't really going to be used as other parts of speech necessarily, okay? So, but normally the book teaches us to find the verb first, then the subject, and then if we had to divide the sentence, we would, but they don't have you divide the sentence too often, okay? So these are talking about things that are out of the ordinary. So let's read here. You can just listen and follow along in the book while I read it, okay? It says the subject of a sentence usually comes before the predicate. So if it says usually, does that mean always? No, usually means most of the time, but not always, right? Okay, so it says this is the natural order of a sentence. Now it says when the predicate or any part of the predicate comes before the subject, and Cameron just used this word, it says the sentence is in inverted order. Inverted order. Inverted means to be turned around. In math, for example, is the marker still up here? Yeah, it is. Okay, look. In math, for example, if I have the fraction 3/8, right? That's normal, but if you have to, sometimes when you have to divide or do different things with fractions, you have to flip it over. So 8/3 would be the inverted of 3/8, right? Well, normally we have subject and verb, right? We have a subject, then the verb comes later, right? But sometimes you have the verb first and then the subject, just by the way they ran the sentence, okay? So all inverted means is turned around, like he was talking about in pictures, where like maybe you normally part your hair on this side and it turned it the other way or something. But inverted just means turned the opposite, okay? And it tells you that. It says inverted order usually occurs in an interrogative sentence. Somebody raise your hand and tell me what an interrogative sentence does. Remember we talked about that like 2 days ago? Adam, what's an interrogative sentence do? Do you remember? No? Good job. How about you, Olive? it asks a question. So like, how are you doing today? It's going to end with a question mark, right? So it says a lot of times inverted order happens in a question sentence when you're asking a question, okay? That's what an interrogative sentence was. Remember, we had a declarative sentence, which is just a normal sentence. We had an interrogative sentence that asks a question. We had an exclamatory sentence, which like, look out, you know, for example. I won't shout today. I probably blew Gianni's ears off the other day when I did that. But there's exclamatory, and then the other one is imperative. Imperative is one that was a command or a request. Do you remember that? So interrogative is a question. Imperative is command or request. Yes. Is who okay? Yeah, he just chose to do distance learning, so he's fine. We have several kids throughout the whole school. Oh, I was just teasing because I yelled so loud the other day and I forgot I had the microphone on. So you know how it is when you're like listening to something and all of a sudden the volume goes crazy. Yeah. All right, guys. So that happens. Inverted sometimes occurs in those kind of sentences and in sentences that begin with there. For example, if I say there was a fire yesterday, there's not usually going to be the subject. Well, there probably was somewhere in California. Yeah. All right. And then it says, since the word there is never a subject, look after the verb to find the subject. Now, remember what I told you guys the other day? You have to listen, look at the book at the same time, right? Because the more ways you can engage your senses in learning, the better it sticks in your brain, right? Because you need this stuff to stick in your brain because you're going to take a test on it, right? And you, not just for the test, but you hopefully you're going to use it in life, because if you write well and you speak well, it helps you get a better job, believe it or not. I used to be in charge of hiring for some companies, and we had these paper applications that people had to fill out. If I looked at the paper, I haven't even met the person yet, right? But I would take the paper application, and if there was a bunch of errors and they spelled wrong and they wrote sloppy and all that, you know what I did? I put them in the no pile. You know why? Because they have to write for me, they have to communicate for me, and they're working for our company. I want them to be able to communicate well, right? So that's why you learn this stuff, so you can do well as you get, as you get older. And no matter what job you do, you have to communicate, and you want to talk well with your friends. It doesn't matter because you're hanging out and you could talk any way you want, right? But when you're doing formal stuff, people are looking to see, oh, okay, can they communicate well? Do they treat people right? All that kind of stuff. So it's important in life. All right, so look at the first example in the blue box. Remember, looking and listening both helps you learn twice as well, right? So it says, there can be no success without effort. It tells you in parentheses, it reminds you that the word there is never a subject. So what did they underline as the subject? Somebody raise your hand and tell me, what did they underline as the subject in there? Shane? Yeah, good. And then we see the verbs are can and be, right? So notice there, that's inverted order. The verbs came first, which were can and be, and then success was the subject, okay? We're in the blue box. You're in the wrong book. We need to be in the grammar book, bud. So go ahead and get your grammar book. Is it right below it? There you go. And we're right there, okay? Awesome. All right, so remember one thing you should have stuck in your brain today that you need to remember. There is never a subject, okay? It's not the subject. So you need to know that if a sentence starts with there, you're not going to choose it as the subject, okay? Real easy, right? Okay, in an interrogative sentence, remember, asking a question sentences, the subject is between the parts of the verb phrase sometimes. Like, look at the next one. Have you encouraged someone today? To encourage somebody would say, hey, you can do it. Do your best, Like, for example, I was a little discouraged by your spelling test yesterday, but I also know it was your first one, right? So I'm thinking, I know you guys can do it, and I know you can do better. So I'm encouraging you, as long as you study, it's not just going to happen like without any work, but you can do it. Yes, Josiah? Well, some of you did. Yeah, some of you did it. Some of you only missed a couple, but some of you missed a lot. So if you missed a lot, you got to work harder, right? Yes, Cameron? Never mind, you say? Okay. Make sure you got your grammar book open, though. You're on the wrong book. Remember, you're not doing your writing now. You're doing your grammar now. So page 8, blue box. No, that's okay. Page 8, blue box. Okay, so have you encouraged somebody today? Somebody raise your hand and tell me what was the subject in that sentence. What did they underline? What do you got, Cameron? It's right here. This one right here. Which one is the subject? Actually, right here. I'm sorry, I'm putting the wrong one. And this one, which one's the subject? No, look at what's underlined. What's underlined one time? And this one. Yeah, you. So you is the subject, right? It's underlined one time. Okay, so notice it's in between two verbs. It's in between have and it's between encouraged, right? So it's in between. So it's saying sometimes that happens. And so on that one, you have this. You have verb, then you have a subject, then you have another verb. So it's VSV, you know, verb, subject, verb. So sentences can be like that. And then it says it's easier to find the subject if you change the question into a declarative. So in other words, instead of saying, have you encouraged someone today, you could say, you have encouraged someone today. Okay, then you easily spot the subject. Okay, but just be looking around. Just know that some sentences aren't normal, right? They're not in normal order. Okay, guys, need to be quiet. Thank you. All right, now if you get to the next one, it says it's easy. Again, we mentioned that, and this is the subject of an imperative sentence. Now remember, imperative sentence gives what? What's the two things that imperative sentence does? Anybody remember? I just said it like about 2 minutes ago. What was it? Imperative, what does it do? You think you know, Josiah? You got it?
It's a
Hang on just a sec. See if he gets it. It's a what?
a subject.
We're not looking for that. Nope. Yes, go ahead. Just. It asks, no, that's interrogative. What does an imperative sentence do? Shane? Nope, that's a declarative. What's it do? There you go. Makes a command or request. We learned that the other day, so you might have to flip back a couple pages. But remember, declarative's a normal sentence, just makes a statement. That's the one Shane was talking about. Interrogative asks a question. Imperative is a command or request. And the one thing we learned about imperative sentences, they all use an understood you. For example, if I look at Tony and I go, close the door, Tony knows I'm talking to him without me saying his name, right? So the understood sentence is you close the door, right? But I don't have to say you close the door. I could just say close the door and he'll do it, you know, if I ask him, and I'd do it if he asked me if I was coming in, you know. So we do it. All right, so the subject of the imperative sentence is the word you, understood but not written. For example, be a good example for others. It's understood that we're talking you be a good example. I'm supposed to be a good example. You're supposed to be a good example, right? And so we understand it's you. Okay, and then down below that it says sometimes the subject of the sentence is made up of two or more words, but is still considered to be one subject. For example, if you look at that big long name, it says Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He was a writer, but Henry is his first name, Wadsworth is his middle name, and Longfellow is his last name. So that's all that. But that's three names. But how many people is it? One. It's one person, right? You need to wait till I finish. Okay. So one person. So even though we underline three words, it's one person, okay? And then the verb in that one is wrote, okay? So it's three things but wrote. Okay, Cameron, what were you going to say? It's just the way it is. My last name is Skwarczynski. That's why everybody calls me Mr. S, because there's 12 letters in my last name, so it's kind of like, it's a long name. Last year we had a girl in the older grades. I don't even know how to say her last name even now, but it was like Ananda, and then it was like it started with CH, and it was like probably 16 letters long. It was a long name. But some people, you just get whatever name you're given in life, right? You get it. Mine, Skwarczynski. 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 It's easier to say than it is to spell. And then pastors is like this. Listen. Pastors is like this. We're both Polish, but that's why we have the SKI in the end. His last name is Sidlowski. So he's Sidlowski. Mine is Skwarczynski. So we just have long names. Adam, go ahead. Me? Yes. In fact, I had a hard time. When I went to school, they wouldn't let you into, I think it was, our school was public school, but I think I couldn't go to second grade until I could spell my last name right. It was one of the requirements to pass first grade. And I had struggled with that because it was hard for me to do that. But my wife, when I married her, her last name was Hawk, Hawk, like the bird. And she got my long last name when she married me. She got Skwarczynski. So that's a long name. Yes, sir. Can you try spelling it? Go for it. We'll give you a shot. Let's see. Okay, hang on. He's going to try it. Let's see if he can spell it. That's a pretty good stab at it. Here, I'll write it up here. You ready? Skwarczynski. Okay, now listen. Skwarczynski, the Z just makes the Zen sound. Like, see, Skwarczynski. You don't really need the C. It's kind of silent, right? And then SKI. And then pastors is this way. SZYD. LOWSKI. Aren't you glad those are on your spelling test tomorrow? Okay, but Sidlowski is how you say his. His makes more sense. Mine has extra consonants in it. Yeah. Okay. You do? What's your last name again? Yeah, so it's 11. Is that 11 letters? Holl. You have 2 L's, right? Is that 10 or 11? Holl. You have 11, so I only beat you by 1 letter. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Pastor has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My eye? Well, I can't. That's part of my name. Then it'll be the same length. That's how long yours is. Yes, go ahead. Because we're both Polish. We're from, like, not me. I'm not from Poland, but my ancestors were, and that's how Polish names. A lot of Polish names end with SKI. So do some other countries, but there's another. I forget what country it is. There's another country where they end in SKY rather than SKI. Okay, so could be. Skwarzinski. Kind of only got to say the W sound too. So Skwarzinski. There you go. It was pretty good. Good. All right. Well, let's get back to our grammar here. Listen. Shh. All right. So Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. At least he didn't have that. By the way, I don't have a middle name. My first name and last name. I think with the length of my last name, my mom thought she wouldn't put a middle name on me. So yeah, it could be too many letters. Yeah. Is it? What is it? Oh, you have 2 of them? You have 2? Dwayne Mitchell? You know why? Probably because, like, a lot of people pick your middle name, like sometimes it's a family name. For example, my grandson Silas, he has my middle name. My first name is his middle name. The only time I hear that is when he's in trouble, because then they say his first and middle name together, and then it's like, oh. So my real first name is Theodore, like the Chipmunks, Theodore. But but everybody called me. Listen, but everybody called me Theo when I grew up because my dad went by. Normally, people with Theodore go by Ted. But my dad already used Ted, so my friends in Little League called me Theo, and that stuck with me my whole life. But yeah, it's kind of different. What's that? Yeah. All right. That's it. I'm actually glad they didn't give me my dad's whole name. My dad's whole name was Thaddeus Theodore, which Thaddeus is long for Tad, like you call people Tad or something like that. So it's kind of different. All right, but make sure, listen up. So we're having a little fun today, but make sure you call me Mr. S, okay? All right, thank you. Let's move on. Here we go. Shh, guys. Hey, if we can't handle stuff like that, then I won't share stuff like that. Okay, so listen up. Here we go. Right after Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, that's the subject, and then wrote's the verb. Then right below that, it says, sometimes a verb is interrupted by other words. Be careful to find all of the words that make up the verb phrase. And the key to that is looking at that chart and knowing those helping verbs, right? Okay, now, right below that, look at this little poem here. It says, a smooth sea will never make a skillful mariner. A mariner is somebody that sails the seas, okay? And then it says, Jonah didn't enjoy his whale of a ride. Jonah from the Bible, right? Because he had got swallowed by the fish, right? Big thing. By the way, we don't know for sure it was a whale. The Bible doesn't say specifically in the scripture that it was a whale. It just says it was a big creature, yeah, big fish. Well, it's supposed to be a picture of him inside the whale's belly. But it's just an artist drawing, obviously. Okay, well, you can imagine what your insides look like, you know. Okay, could be, because they could be, who knows. Okay, shh. Okay, let's get back on lesson, guys. Class, listen. Otherwise, I'm going to start putting names on the board. That'll take time off your lunchtime, okay? You need to listen when I say, okay, enough, I need to teach, so I've got to have time to teach. All right, look closely. In all the following lessons in the book, the word subject will mean just the simple subject. In other words, remember how we talked about words like the and stuff are in front of the subject? That's the complete subject, but we're only looking for the word that's the subject, not for all the extra stuff. Same with the verb. Simple verb will just, the simple predicate will be just the verb, not the whole rest of the sentence. Okay? All right, good. All right, let's go to page 9 and take a look at it. Okay, you guys need to really pay attention here because you're going to help me with this like we did the other day. It's okay. Listen. When you're in my class, it's okay if you get the wrong answer. At least you tried, okay? Because I don't know everything either. My wife knows way more about history, for example, than I do. So I don't know everything. I learn stuff every day. Even at this age, I learn new things all the time. So don't be afraid if you don't know something, but try not to be afraid to give it a try. Okay, at least try and do your best. Okay. All right, so these are going to be sentences where they purposely move the subject out of order on you so you could find it. Okay, so let's start over here with you, Shane. Okay, let's look at number 1. And it says, we're on page 9. It says, have you ever read about the strange-looking fish at the bottom of the sea? Okay, so Shane, take a look at that. Can you find the subject and verbs for me? And you can go in any order you want. Okay, you'll get a turn. It's his turn right now. Go ahead, Shane. Okay, good. And there's a helping verb in there somewhere. What's helping read somewhere? Okay, so have, good. And what's my subject, Shane? Nope. Try again. Who's the one? Who are they asking if they've read it? Have read. Yeah, there you go. Use the subject, right? Because the fish isn't going to be reading, right? I'm not teasing you, but I'm just saying, unless it's a really smart fish, like in Cat in the Hat or something, But well, in Cat in the Hat, he had a fish that there was something he used to do. I just remember 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, or something like that. I still like reading those books, Dr. Seuss. They're fun. They're fun. Yeah, he had all colors. All right, Adam, go for it. You got number 2. It says, learn about them in this book sometime. Okay, so tell me either your verb or your subject. What do you think, Adam? It's not, but let's try to find our verb first, okay? What do you think the verb is there? Cameron, turn around and look at me, okay? Thank you. That way you don't bother him. There you go. So underline learn twice, everybody. Make sure you're doing this in your book, by the way. We're on page 9, number 2. Underline learn 2 times because it's the verb. Now, the book can't learn, Adam, so in your sentence, it starts with the verb. It's an imperative sentence given a command. So do you remember what we said in an imperative sentence? The subject is, you got to be quiet. I'm talking to him. It's his turn. So don't ooh. Okay, so what do you think? What's the subject when we give a command or request? Remember what I did to your brother? I said close the door, but what was the subject in that sentence? Who's supposed to close the door, Adam? If I'm looking at your brother and I say close the door, who am I talking to? Tony, so in this one, when it's saying to read, to learn about them in the book sometimes, that's an understood you, just like if I told him to close the door. So this is what we do with an understood you, everybody. So Cameron, if you don't stop distracting, I'm going to do it. You like to play the whole class time. You can't do that, okay? Okay, you got to make sure you're paying attention. All right, guys. So take a look here, and we'll show you real quick. Okay. So on his sentence, next to number 2 out here, you have the word learn, right? Okay, so on learn, you're going to underline it twice, right? Make sure you're looking up here so you see what you're supposed to do. And then outside, because the you is not actually in the sentence, you write it out here like this. And you underline it 1 time as the subject. So that's how you would do number 2. Anytime you have when we say understood you is not said in the sentence, but we know it's the subject, okay? So make sure you know that. You got a question, Liviana, or did you? What's that? You can if you want to. You can write cursive or print. That's okay with me, either way. Yes? Is that what you're going to ask the same question? Okay, Cameron?
I forgot about
Well, that's why I'm explaining it. Yeah, good. But understood you, that's how you show it. So everybody make sure number 2 in page 9 looks like that. In fact, I'm going to walk around and make sure you're doing it here real quick. So you got you and learn. You got you and learn. Did you do yours yet? Yeah, you got it. Good job. You got yours in there? We got the U. Don't forget to put the U out here and underline it. You got yours in there? Move your hand so I can see. Thank you. Got it. You good? Okay. You're working on it. You got it. Good job. You got yours? Awesome. How about you, Tristan? Good. You got yours and you got yours? Awesome. Thank you. All right, Gianni, I hope you did yours at home too. Make sure you write it this way with the understood you out here on number 2. Okay, so good job, Adam. Okay, Tristan, let's move to you. Let's look at number 3. It says, there are creatures with huge mouths and many sharp teeth. Now, Tristan, before you even start, I want to ask you a question. What did we learn about the word there? Is it ever going to be a subject? Yes or no? No. So we know there is not the subject, okay? Can you find the verb, though, somewhere in there? Let's look at number 3. Can you find the verb? Go ahead. Good job. So underline are 2 times. Everybody do that. Number 3, are 2 times. Now we have to find the subject since there's not it. No, it's his turn. So Tristan, what do you think the subject is? Creatures is right. So everybody underline creatures. You know why? Because the creatures are the ones that have the huge mouse and the teeth. So it can't be the mouse or the teeth. It's the creature that has it. So he's the subject. Okay. So good job. So are and then creatures. Awesome. Okay, Cameron, you're up next for number 4 here. Yes. Go ahead. Well, in this one, it's talking about fish and strange things at the bottom of the sea, but it doesn't tell us specifically which one on this one. It just says there are creatures with huge mouths and sharp teeth. One could be a shark, for example. I mean, he has huge teeth, right? Could be a whale, for example, or things, yeah. A fish could be a creature, and fish do have teeth, by the way. I don't know if you've ever been bitten by a fish, but it can hurt sometimes. Stingray, I don't know. They could sting you, but I don't know if they can bite you. Good question. Jellyfish don't really have a mouth. I think they just have that, yeah. Okay, we got to go forward. Let's go forward. We're not going to get done. Okay, everybody quiet. Let's go with Cameron. He's doing number 4. So you want either the verb or the subject first. And just a quick hint on yours. They flip the sentence, so most of the first part of the sentence is really should be the second half of the sentence. So look a little further into your sentence there. Yeah, go in further. So do you see a verb in there? I'll give you a hint. It's one of the ones off the chart on the other page. It's not an action verb. It's one of the ones on the other one. In fact, if you're listening, when Tristan did his, you have the same verb in your sentence. So what was our verb in number 3? So do you see are in number 4? Okay, so are is our verb. So everybody underline are. And what do you think the subject is then? You're right. So everybody underline fish, and it says with their own special light organs. There's that one fish, I forget the name of it, but that little thing comes off its head and it has a little light on it. Do you guys remember what it's called? It's from Finding Nemo. They had it, yeah. Is that what it's called? Say it again. Angle, like A-N-G-L-E? Anglefish, okay. A small one? Wow. I don't know. There are different odd fish in rivers, but who knows? Okay, so you did a good job, though. Now listen, everybody look at sentence 4 real quick. It says, above them in the dimly lit twilight zone of the ocean are odd fish with their own special light organs. Now I could say it this way. There are odd fish with their own special light organs above them in the dimly lit twilight zone of the ocean. So really that sentence could be turned around. Real quick, Tristan, what'd you need? So like in the deep part of the ocean? Yeah, like you probably wouldn't see one on a normal, unless you were down in a submarine or something maybe. Yes? Okay. Oh, cool. All right, so make sure you did are and fish. All right, so let's go to number 5 here. Hang on just a second here. I got to grab my other papers. There they are. I think I put it on. What did I do with that? Got a million papers, but not the right one. Maybe it was on the back of this one. I had everything. Yeah, there we go. All right. All right, Ariel, you're up next then, if you don't mind, and it would be number 5. Number 5. So see if you can find subject or verbs in number 5. First of all, let's look for the action word. What's the actual action that's happening in there? Do you see it? No, but it's a good guess, but no. Okay, one of them is blink. Does it take action to blink your eyes? It does, right? So blink is the first verb. Okay, now, earlier in the sentence, Ariel, do you see a helping verb that's in earlier in the sentence before blink? One of the ones that would have been from the list on the other page. Give her a minute to look at. There you go. So the verbs are does and blink. So everybody underline those each 2 times, okay? Okay, now, in your sentence, this is a tricky one, okay? And number 5, the fish isn't the subject, okay? It is, but they word it really different. So in between does and blink, do you see something besides the fish that could be your subject? Yeah, there you go, kind. And if you guys look at this carefully, it says, does one kind of fish really blink on and off like a lantern? Okay, does blink is the verbs. Normally fish would be, but because they put of fish there, we know it's pointing to kind. So good job, Ariel. You got it. Yes? Well, it wouldn't matter to them, though. They're built. God built them to be underwater, so they don't care. Most of the time when I catch a fish, Of course, I only see them when they come out of the water, right? But their eyes are usually open anyway. Every time I've ever seen a fish, I don't know if I've ever seen a fish with their eyes closed, but possibly. They must do blink sometimes, some fish. But yes. Just kind. One would be an adjective describing kind. So it would just be kind. Yes. Uh-huh. They just leave them open? Okay. All right. So good job. So let's go to Josiah for the next one. And Josiah, we're looking at number 6. Do you think you can find a subject and a verb in there? And same thing I told Tristan. What did we learn about there? Is it going to be the subject, Josiah? Is there ever the subject? No. You're shaking your head. So you're right. No, it's not. So there's not our subject. But see if you can find subject and verb in number 6. 6. Okay, ocean's a place, right? So it can't be a verb. What are they doing in the ocean? How about that? There you go. Live is the verb. So everybody underline live 2 times. Okay. Now, we know what they're implying, but what word in there would be the subject? And I'll give you a hint. It's towards the very end of the sentence. What do you think? Residence is right. A resident means, for example, right now, you're a resident of this classroom, which means you're inside here, right? You could be a resident of your home. So they're talking about, when they say residents of the ocean, we're talking about everything that lives in the ocean, fish, whatever, right? So good job. So residence is the subject, live is the verb. Look how far apart they are. Look at the inverted order. The verb came first and then the subject, right? All right. All right, let's go on to number 7 now. Number 7, and that's going to be Olive. So Olive, if you could look at that and tell me what you think for verbs or subjects. Okay, is definitely one. And it's helping another verb. Do you see what it's helping? There you go. So is and recognize are verbs, so underline them. To recognize somebody would, for me to look at somebody and I'd look at him and I'd say, oh, I know that's Josiah. See, but that's recognizing, so good. So that does take action. Now, what is recognized in the sentence? What do you think? There you go. So sailfish is all one word, so we underline the whole thing. Okay, so sailfish is our subject and is recognized a verb. Good job, Olive. Thank you. All right, Tony, you're up. Number 8 here. See if you can find the verb first. What do you think the verb is in number 8? It could be. Normally eating is a verb. In this case, man-eating is describing the shark, so it's an adjective. So try another word that might be, there you go. Stay is the verb. Good job on eating, though, because even though eating is not the verb, it is usually used as a verb, right? So stay is the verb. All right, now, since the verb starts, if I look at you and I say, Tony, this is just like the door thing. If I say stay away from the man-eating shark, I'm talking to who? If I look at you and say it, who am I really talking to? Yeah, you, which is the you, right? You're talking to you, so it's you. So it's an understood you like this. So everybody on number 8, listen up. Number 8, you need to write you like this again. It's an understood you. Put it outside the number. So like next to number 8, put this understood you in there. And then go like that. And then what was the verb again in here? In that one was stay, right? So stay would go here and we'd underline it twice, right? No, because man and eating and white are all describing the shark. So they're being an adjective. Just remember, most words can be used as more than one part of speech, right? So in this case, just like eating is sometimes a verb, but it's an adjective. Same thing with the man. Man's usually a subject or a noun, but in this case it's describing the shark, so it's an adjective. All right, we've got 2 more to go, so let's go to you, Landon. Number 9, what do you think there? What do you see in there? You don't have to read it necessarily, but just find the verbs and the subject for me. Okay, is, and is helping another verb. Do you see the other verb? No, go a little further. There you go. Easily is actually an adverb, but trained is a verb. So is trained. Everybody on the line is and trained 2 times. And then, yeah, like you're training something, like training the animal. Not like a train like choo-choo train, but training the animal. Good. What's the subject in there, Landon? Dolphin, yeah. So dolphin's our subject and then is trained. You guys ever? Any of you guys been to SeaWorld where they train animals to do stuff, right? So that's what training is. You guys get trained every day by your mom and dad, teach you what to do right and wrong. You get taught at school, so that's training. I get trained too, like at work. There's certain things like yesterday after school we had a teachers meeting and they train us things in there. That means they teach us stuff, okay? Hands down for now. I'm going to keep going because number 9, dolphin is the subject, is trained is the verb. All right, let's move on to number 10 and we'll come up here to Liviana. Liviana, can you spot any verbs or subject in there? I'll give you a hint. There are 3 verbs in your sentence. 2 of them are helping verbs and 1 of them is actual verb. So what do you think?
Can be used.
You got all 3 right there. Can, listen up everybody. Underline can, be, and used all 2 times each because they're all verbs. And then what do you think the subject is? What is it that can be used? Do you see what can be used in there? Actually, the octopus would be a good guess, but it's actually the tentacles. And you know what tentacles are right on an octopus? It's like the arms of the octopus. So it's saying that the tentacles can be used to catch its prey. In other words, to wrap its arms around something, right, and pull it in. Just like we can catch stuff with our hands, right? You guys go out every day on recess, you catch a ball or something, right? So the tentacles of the octopus would be its arms. So, and then again, tentacles is the actual subject, though, not the octopus, okay? Because the tentacles are what's going to be used, okay? Good job. Yes?
Are the tentacles things that are connected?
Yes, they're connected to the body. There's usually on octopus, most of them have 8 legs that are attached to the body. Just like you have 2 arms, right? Octopus has 8. So what'd you say? I'm sorry. Well, they swim in the water mostly. They don't really walk on land, so they swim. But it says in here that it uses to help catch its prey, help catch. And Nemo, they did, huh? They did do that in Finding Nemo. Yes. A baby squid, and they have legs too, like that, tentacles. Yeah. What? Go ahead. I don't know. That's a good question. I would imagine the octopus would still live. You know how like on a lizard, sometimes they lose the tail and they still regrow it or something? I don't know if an octopus can regrow the arm, but I bet you it could live without one of the tentacles, I would think. Yes?
Did you know that octopus's brain is actually in its tentacles?
It's in its tentacles?
Yes, when it gets chopped off,
Oh.
its brain, but the tentacle is still alive, so it just
That would be interesting. Shane?
it walks around it. It's so weird.
Oh, really? It was like a big, and then it just had this little tiny thing. It probably lost its tail and was regrowing, maybe, you think? I don't know. Yes, sir? And I probably have. I don't know. I'm good at spotting lizards, but I'm not good at the different types of lizards, like the name of them. Cool. Nice. There's been a lot of lizards out now lately. All right. Now let's look at the bottom. Listen up. Look at the bottom of the page. Shh. Listen to the bottom of the page. It says a good writer knows that knowledge of subjects and verbs includes the use of the best subject and verbs. He communicates best by using exact, specific nouns for subjects and strong action verbs. Exact and colorful nouns and verbs help create in the reader's mind the picture that the writer is trying to communicate. Guys, be careful, please. It says, look on this list here. It says, which noun would make the most specific subject? Would it be boat, vessel, schooner, or watercraft? Which one? Did they circle it for you? Not yet. So which one would it be, you think? What do you think? Nope, that'd be more general. They want the most specific. What do you think, Cameron? You want boat, vessel, schooner, or watercraft? Schooner is right because now listen carefully. Boat, listen carefully. Boat would be the broad category of all these things, right? Then well, actually a vessel probably would be more general. Then a boat would be a little more specific. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind altogether. I would think that a vessel would be the most general. Watercraft would be a little more specific. Then boat would be in there, but schooner's last because a schooner's a specific boat. So they said pick the most specific. Well, let's try the next one. Which verb shows the most specific action? Was, glided, went, or moved? Now there's 2 that are obvious, but which one's the most specific? What do you think, Tony? Which one of those 4? Was, glided, went, or moved? Moved is the second most specific. What do you think the most specific is, Shane? If moved is the second most, what do you think the most is? Nope, that's not very specific, right? What do you think, Liviana? Glided. Now listen, if you just say Mr. S is moving through the room, what if I do this? Skip kind of? Or what if I hop?
You guided?
Right? So listen, you got to listen carefully, right? Okay, so if you just say I moved, you don't know how I moved. But if you say I glided, now I can't really glide, especially at my size, okay? But glide, if I was on a skateboard, I could glide maybe. Maybe no, I'd probably fall off skateboard. But I'm so old that my art, when I was your age, skateboards had metal wheels. Can you believe that? Can you imagine what would happen when you hit a rock with a metal wheel? It was like you just wipe out. But when I got to high school, no joke, they came out with the first rubber urethane wheels, I loved it so much because they could actually go over a rock without just hitting the rock, stopping, and you go flying off the skateboard. But yeah, one of my first skateboard had metal wheels on it. Can you believe that? That's crazy. No, I destroyed it a long time ago. Yes. Does he really? Cool. Yeah, no, mine got pretty. We tried all kinds of tricks on them. We destroyed it. It destroyed the board. I don't think any of my skateboards survived. Even the ones with the rubber wheels, they had like this, back then they had this like socket. The wheels would be on there, and then there was like this metal support thing that would go into a socket. And after you'd do a bunch of jumps and stuff, eventually that would just break out of the socket, and you'd have to buy new wheels or whatever. Yeah. But, all right, so anyway, moving is general. Gliding tells me exactly how they moved, right? So it's the most specific. All right. Let's go ahead and flip to page 10, okay? Page 10 real quick here. If you see on the board, page 10 is your homework, but we're going to do some of it together, okay? Those of you that were here last year, we did diagramming here, okay? All diagramming means is after you found the subjects and the verbs or other parts of the sentence, you just make a diagram that puts it in logical order. Now, remember how I said yesterday, day before, you got to be able to get subject and verbs before you can get the other parts of speech, okay? Now listen, in diagramming, when you start diagramming, okay, we start with a very basic diagram. And if you don't understand the very basic diagram, you're not going to get it like 3 months from now when we're diagramming more stuff, okay? So the very basic diagram's like this. It basically almost looks like a cross, okay? Now, who remembers what goes on this side of the line when we diagram? Anybody know? Liviana, what do you think? What goes on this side? Not necessarily a specific word, but what part of speech goes over here? There you go. Subject goes here. Okay, and what goes on this side, Shane? Verb. So we don't write subject and verb every time up here, but this is on the diagram. We're going to put our subject on this side and our verb on this side. Okay, so let's take a look. It's easier to explain, to show you than to explain it. Okay, look in the blue box first. It talks about drawing the diagram first, which you draw a vertical line and a horizontal line. That makes basically this little diagram, right? And then notice the sentences in the blue box. It said, God loveth a cheerful giver. Look at God was the subject and loveth was the verb, right? You see how they did that? Then the next one, along with the cold weather came snow. That's an inverted sentence like we've been talking about. The snow was the subject and came was the verb. Okay, next one. Honor thy father and thy mother. That's right out of the Bible, right? That's a command from God. It's an imperative sentence. So there's an understood you. And everybody in this room, the Bible said to us that we're supposed to honor their father and mother. And you know what? I did that up until my mother and father passed away. But that doesn't mean I had to obey all the rules. They didn't tell me what time to come home as an adult and all that stuff. But I honored my mother. I still talked nice to her. I didn't disrespect her. I didn't, I just treated her right. That's what it means by honoring. Okay, so my mother died at the age of 79, but she was still my mom. Even though I was a grown up, she's still mom. My father passed away really young. When I was only 6, my father passed away. But I honored him up until that point as a 6-year-old. So, but anyway, notice on that one, it's an understood you. So remember how we wrote the you outside the sentence? So if you have an understood you still put it in parentheses because it wasn't stated in the sentence, okay? And then honor was the verb, because honor means it takes action to honor your parents, okay? The next one, do you know the Lord? It's a question, okay? And we all know we need to know Jesus Christ as our Savior to go to heaven, right? That's the only way we get to heaven. I could do all the good things I want to do, but that's not going to get me into heaven. I got to have a personal trust and faith in Jesus Christ that he died on the cross for me, right? Okay, so anyway, it says you and then do know are the verbs. And then the last one, There goes my neighbor. Remember, there's never a subject, so neighbor is the subject and goes is the verb. So they give you like 5 examples in the blue box. Now, our job, listen up, for page 10, listen very carefully because this is up here on the board, right? Mrs. Rule wrote this, language page 10. You only have to do letter A. You don't have to do B or go back, okay? You're only doing letter A, okay? Just listen, yeah. Do it on a separate sheet of paper, yes. And then what you do, the first sentence says, how can a wax figure look so realistic? You guys have seen wax figures of people and how realistic they look. But anyway, it says, how can a wax figure look so realistic? So here's what we need to do. We make on your piece of paper, you can go ahead and get one out if you don't have one right now, but get out a piece of paper. And I would put on my paper that this is number 1, okay? Okay, this would be number 1 on my paper. Okay, so everybody needs to do this on a separate sheet of paper, but we're using the sentences on page 10. Now, somebody look at sentence number 1 on page 10. Somebody raise your hand and tell me what either the verbs or the subject are on number 1. Anybody? Somebody should know. Look at number 1 on page, think A, number 10, and tell me what the subject or verbs are. Go ahead, Shane. Look is definitely one of the verbs. So what I would do if I was you is just underline it twice in the book so you know before you write them here. And Shane, do you see a helping verb that's helping look somewhere in that sentence? In this case, no. No, it's not. Somebody else see one? Yeah? Sure. On number 1, the first thing Shane told us was that look was a verb, so we underline it twice. What do you think, Liviana? Can, okay, can helps look. So can and look are both verbs. Everybody underline them twice in your book, okay, can and look. Okay, and then somebody raise your hand and tell me what the subject is. What is the subject of number 1? Go ahead, Ariel. It's actually, you're right, it's figure. Wax describes it, so it's just figure, but good job. All right, so here's what we write on our chart. Now, you should have marked this in. The subject is figure, right? So figure goes on this side, so we're going to put figure. You got to draw this little thing, right? You're going to do it on a piece of notebook paper. Okay, and then what did we say the verbs were? Say it out loud if you know. What were they? Can and what else? Now, since they're working together, we put them on one line. Later, we're going to learn if we have like 2 action verbs, we have to split it. Adam? Yes. Yes, we will soon. Yes? Yeah, there could be like 2 on each side sometimes, yes. Yes, go ahead. All right. So so that's how we do that. We put figure and can look. Okay. So does everybody understand that? Right. Listen up. Everybody understand on each one you're going to find the subject and the verbs, and then on a piece of paper you're gonna split it up like this, right? Yes. Like down here, you mean? We don't have to put anything there yet. All we're doing is on top of the line right now, okay? Later we'll have stuff come off the line, like adjectives and stuff, they'll come off the line. But right now this is the basic one, figure, can, look. Let's try to do a couple more, okay? Let's look at number 2. Go ahead. You can read number 2.
Our school always has given God the credit for its success.
Good, and we do that here. We believe that any success we have at Calvary Christian, it's because God allowed us to. God allowed us to open this year. Most schools are closed, so God allowed us to open, so that was nice. I don't know about you, but I was missing people. We didn't get to see very many people, you know. Yes? You may. All right, so let's look at that one. Anybody see the subject or verbs in that one? Yes? Yes. Yes, go ahead. You guys got to be careful with these water bottles here. Go ahead. Shh, hang on a sec. Okay, everybody else quiet. Shh, everybody else quiet. Cameron, go ahead and turn around, please. Turn around all the way. Sit like you're supposed to. Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Liviana. What were we going to say? Okay, so our verbs are has and given in number 2. So if I draw my little chart again, has given goes on this side because that's where the verbs go, right? Okay. All right. Now, what's the subject? Somebody raise your hand and give me the subject. You got it, Liviana? What is it?
School?
Yeah, the school is what's given. Who's given God the thing? So it's school over here. Okay. So we do school and subjects, right? You're going to turn this in for homework. We did the first 2 together already, right? So let's do number 3. We'll do one more. Okay, number 3. Robert E. Lee was a greatly respected general. So who could tell me subject to verb in that one? Okay, Cameron, what do you got?
Number 3.
Yes.
Was.
Okay, was is our verb. So
Respected.
okay, and in this sentence, it's just was. Respected is describing general. Respected can be a verb sometimes, but it's not. Okay.
The subject was
What do you think?
Robert.
Yeah. Well, it's his whole name. So what's his whole name?
Robert E.
Okay, good. Robert is his first name. E is his middle initial, and Lee is his last name. So you put right here Robert, and then E for his middle name. And I got to move my line a little bit because I didn't make myself enough room. Hang on. We're going to put Robert E. Lee, and then the verb was, right? So it's going to look like that. Everybody see it? We got all his full name on here. Robert E. Lee, and then the verb is was. So we're doing just a very basic diagram. Landon, go ahead. And he's done, yes. Okay, so these are the first 3 if you were out of the room. This is the first 3 on page 10, and we would keep going here. Let me move out of the way so you guys could see it a little better. Yes, ma'am. You have to do all the way to 10. Yeah, so here's what I want to do, though, because I want to help you guys a little bit. Listen really carefully. Let's find the subject and verbs real quick. You can underline them in the book, and then you can always draw the diagrams, okay? You like that idea? Okay, so here we go.
Can you at least leave those on the
I will. They're on the board. Okay, let's go ahead if we got time here. Okay, number 4. Between the 2 mountains lies a fertile valley. Who could find subject and verbs in there? You think you got one? Go ahead. Say it again. The is not this time, but what is after the? What's the kind of introducing? The what? To what? Mountains. There you go. So let's see on that one, though. Oh, you know what? This one's turned around because between is switched. So let's do this first. Let's find the verb first, and then we'll take a look again. Okay, because you did find the noun, but you didn't find the subject. So, Adam, were you raising your hand or just stretching? Okay. Anybody find the verb in number 4? Anybody at all? Cameron.
lie.
Okay, so everybody underline lies twice. This isn't lying like I'm telling a lie. Lie means it's resting there, okay? Like lie, that kind of lie. So underline lies twice. And then mountains is not the subject, even though that's a noun, but it's not the subject. What's the actual subject? Okay, Shane? Valley is. So on that one, lies is our verb, so 2 lines, and valley is our subject. Now, listen, regardless of how they are in the sentence, the subject always comes first on the diagram, and the other comes last. So over here, we would do this. This is number 4. We draw our little diagram. Valley would go here. And what was the verb again, number 4? It was lies. So valley, lies. So number 4 should look like that on your diagram. Everybody make sure you're doing it that way. Even though valley, the way it was, valley came at the end of the sentence, but it doesn't matter. Valley is the subject and lies is the verb, okay? So we always put it subject, then verb. Question, Cameron? Let's see. We got, you can do 6, but we're on 5 right now. Okay, you want to do 5 instead? Okay, Jeremy's hook had not been properly baited, so what do you think? What do we got there? Okay, so everybody picks the subject as hook. Do you know the verbs? Not, but had what? Yeah, had. You're on the right track. There's 3 verbs. There's only 3 verbs. You're close. Had and baited are, but it's had been. Yeah. Properly would be an adverb, like telling how it is. So there's 3 verbs there. Had, been, and baited, okay? So let's go over here. I'm going to put number 5 way over here. Okay. And what was the subject again, Cameron, in yours? Hooks. And then over here we're going to put had, been, and baited. Again, they can go on the same line as long as they're all working together. Had been baited. So number 5 should look like that over there. Don't forget to draw your 2 lines, right? And put had been baited for the verb, number 5. We'll get into that later. Right now we're just doing the simple ones. Okay? All right, good. Okay, let's move on number 6. I'm not going to draw any more diagrams on the board. You should just know that the subject goes on the left, verb goes on the right. So in your book, listen carefully. 6 through 10, we're going to talk about what the verbs and the subjects are. So let's go to number 6. Shane, you want to do 6? Okay, go ahead. Yep, the verb is, and that's it. It doesn't have anything else. And then what's the subject, you think? What is it that's wonderful, Shane? Not human, but what? Nope, look a little closer. What's human describing? Yes. So how wonderful is the human voice? Voice is our subject, and is our verb. So everybody underline voice one time, is twice. And then listen, you're going to do the diagram still. I'm not going to draw that one on the board, but you draw on your homework, on your paper, put number 6. And then on the left side, you're going to put voice, and on the right side, you're going to put is. Okay, let's look at number 7. Give us this day our daily bread. So what's our verb or subject in there? Somebody? Okay, Gavin. Okay, that's not our verb. So let's give as your verb. There you go. And then what's the subject? Somebody? Anybody see what subject is on there? Give. Ariel? No. Good try though. Somebody else? Yeah.
You?
Yeah, it's an understood you. When you say, give us this day our daily bread, we're talking to God, right? To ask us to give him food for the day. So it's an understood you. Like if I'm praying to God and I say, give us this day our daily bread. You remember that famous prayer in the Bible, the Our Father? It says, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and all that stuff. And then there's a verse in there that says, give us this day our daily bread. But God understands we're talking to him, right? So it's understood you. So on your first part, you're going to want to do this. I am going to put that on there. What number was that? That's number 7. So on 7, you're going to do this. You're going to put your brackets, right? You're going to put an understood you. Since it's if you is actually in the sentence, you don't need the parentheses. But if you is not in the sentence, then we put parentheses to show that it's implied in the sentence, okay? And then who said the verb? Gavin did, right? What was it, Gavin? Give. So it'd be you, give. Okay, all right. Okay, real quickly, number 8. How do foreigners learn our language? Okay, so we need to figure that out. Okay, go ahead, Adam.
Learn is our verb.
Okay, learn is our verb. Okay, good. No, who's the one that's doing the learning, Adam? Yes, so foreigners is our subject. Learn is our verb, but there's a helping verb with learn. Do you see it, Adam? Nope, try another one. Do. So the subject is foreigners, verb is do learn. Let's look at number 9. Do not touch that electric fence. Okay, what's the verbs in there? Somebody? Verbs. Somebody, come on. All right, Tristan, go for it. Touch is definitely a verb, and helping it is do. So it's do touch. So that's our verbs. What's the subject, anybody? What do you think? You think it's not electric fence? Who's not supposed to touch it? What do you think? Yeah, understood you. If I look at you and I say, do not touch that electric fence, it's understood I'm talking to you. Was it? Most electric fences depends whether it's just for security or to keep them in. I've touched an electric fence before that was for animals to stay inside a pen, like an animal pen, and I touched it, and it's shocking enough to make you jerk your hand away, but not so much it'll kill you. But they have electric fences that are, like, for example, I don't think most prisons have an electric fence outside, but if you were security and you wanted it, there are ones that could probably electrocute you. But most fences are just enough to teach the person or the animal not to touch it. All right, I got to move on real quick because we're running out of time. Let's look at, so on number 9, it was understood you, and then it was do touch was the verbs. Okay, one more. Number 10, on a tree nearby sat a robin. Go ahead there. What's the verb first? Okay, so sat is our verb. And then who's doing the sitting?
Robin.
Okay, so Robin is the subject. So Robin and sat. Okay, so your job by tomorrow, if you haven't already done it, do 1 through 10. We did most of them on the board, okay? Yes, sir. Which one?
9.
Yes. 9 was do and touch for the verbs, so underline them twice. And then the understood you was the subject. And you got to don't forget, even though you mark it in your book, you have to do this on a separate sheet of paper. Yes.
What is 8 and 9?
Okay. Number 8, the subject was foreigners. That big long word, foreigners. And then the verb was do and learn. And then what was the other number you asked me? You asked me another one. Number 9? Number 9 was understood you, and then the verbs were do and touch. Okay? Anybody else got a question? Okay, we really didn't get a chance to go over spelling too much, but I want to tell you real quick. Listen, the three of you that have the separate test, it's almost the exact test, except for I think she's going to change it up just a little bit, but it's the same exact test you took yesterday, pretty much. You got to be able to spell the 10 words you had plus the vocabs, okay? Now for the rest of you, listen very carefully because this will help you when you study tonight, okay? So get your spelling book out and open it to list 1, and I just want to tell you this real quick, okay? So just real quickly, get your spelling book out and I'll show you this. If you have questions later, you can ask me later. Right now, get in your spelling book and get list number 1. You need to wait. I got too much to do. No, need to wait. You need to wait. That's very simple instructions. So wait. You can ask me other questions later. Everybody make sure everybody needs your spelling book out. Okay, Mrs. Rule said she told you last week. Listen very carefully. Look up here so you know what I'm talking about. You know how it tells the definition of each word over here? If it's in bold black, it's a vocabulary word. Okay? Now, all the words themselves are in bold black, but the definitions, listen carefully because this will help you study. You don't have to study everything if you listen carefully to me tonight. Okay, look. Okay, the definitions that are not bold black are spelling words. So, do you know how yesterday on the pretest you had to spell all 35? Tomorrow for the spelling part, you're only going to have to be able to spell the ones that don't have bold black words on there. So there's going to be 20 of them. There's 20 words that don't have bold black over here, okay? And so those are going to be your spelling words. The other words that have the bold black definitions, tomorrow you're not going to be spelling them, but you're going to have to match them up with their definition, okay? So like for example, I have let me find it here. I have it here. Okay. I'm going to come around and show you just so you got an idea, okay? This is the exact test. Okay, so look. So on the top one right here, I'll show each of you, but the top one, there's only going to be 20 spelling words. Then down here, you have multiple choice to find your thing. And then on the back, there's a couple other things like saying whether the word was used correctly or something with a definition. But I'll just show you so you get an idea of what it's going to look like. So the first 20 are spelling words. Again, it's not the first 20 words. It's all the words that are not bold black in the book, okay? So 20, we may or may not, I don't know yet, but then this is the matching, and then you got a couple things on the back. But just so you know what I'm talking about, you'll have 20 spelling words and then matching down here for the vocab. So what that helps you tonight, listen, before Wednesday, you were trying to spell all the words, right? Now you get to narrow it down and say, okay, I've got to do my 20 spelling words where I have to know the spelling. The other words, I just have to know the definition. Okay, so that helps shrink down how much you got to study, right? Okay, so you got it. Oh, you're doing this one, right? You get that, and then just a couple questions on the back. Okay, so it's going to look. This will be for the spelling part. Then you got some matching down here, and then they'll ask you, like they'll use it in a sentence and ask you if it's right. So that we get an idea what you're doing tomorrow. So spelling words, matching, and then it's going to give you some sentences and ask you if it used it correctly. Okay. So you don't have that one, right? So you got that one. So Shane, yeah, same idea. You know, it's probably similar to what you had last year. And you got these to match. This will be the spelling, the matching, and then a few things here. And I'll show you to Adam. So again, spelling, 20 words, and then they're going to do matching. And then back here is going to be, did you use it in the sentence right? So again, the main thing you need to know for the spelling test, and this would include you too, Gianni, at home, is that in your book, like I showed you, here, let me pull my book back up. This will be the last thing here. All right. And then again, all of them are bold black words, but over here to the right, bold. There's some that are bold and some that aren't bold. The bold ones are vocab words and the other ones are spelling words. Okay? Everybody, if you don't understand that, see me privately. You can ask me the question. You know, I could show you if you need the help with that. Okay? All right. We're going to stop right here and just pray for lunch, and then we will break for lunch here. So let's pray. Remember, we don't do anything when we pray other than concentrate on God, okay? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all you do for us. We pray you'd bless our food now, and we pray you'd bless it to our bodies. Thank you that we don't go hungry today, and we pray for those that are hungry today that they will be able to find something to eat. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, you may get your food, get your warm-ups out. Gianni, we will see you tomorrow for grammar.